2, 1. Well, this is not the best week to promote the courts. We'll just put it that way. Well, in one particular case. We're going to be talking about a certain precedent set by the Supreme Court when it comes to guns. We're going to talk about a fuckface showing up. We'll be talking about Roger Stone and, whether or not it's a little bit overblown in his case, and more. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin. It's one of those days.
Indeed it is. Welcome to Micah and The Hatman on Politics Live. Alright. So let's go ahead and get into this. First off, I want to say thank you to everybody for showing up. I see a lot of people in the chat: Brian Gilmartin, Leonardo Juan, Crystal Wing, I think is First Hydra, I think he said that in there, and many others. Thank you all for being here. This is sometimes the highlight of my week, just because whenever it comes to live streams, I get more people showing up for the podcast than I do for anything on my main channel, so that's awesome. And I am considering doing more streams on this channel in the future, just because it seems like people seem to enjoy them. So that of course brings about the question of what you guys would like to see. If you're in the Patrons Discord, please do let me know, and we'll see what we can do for sure. I think that we'd like to bring back game night at some point for sure, because game night's fun as hell. We need to get Hatman in a place where he can get blown up. So
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, you're gonna notice that there is a donation goal set this week. Reason being is that I was sick for over a week with anxiety and blood pressure problems. And thankfully my job is very understanding. They saw the diagnosis from my doctor and all that stuff, so they get it. But they want me, of course, to start seeking better treatment. And I have. My medication that I take for blood pressure every day got upped. And I was told by my doctor, she's like, you might want to consider an herbal remedy when it comes to your anxiety. So I took the dive into hemp shit. So I am now dank, Micah. I'm not high, just so nobody knows. It's not like eating an edible. But I will say,
Mike is going to turn into fucking Towley. Hey, Hatman, you want to get high? No.
Yeah. But,
okay, you sure?
but the fact is, like, this works. Like, yesterday, I took 2 of these gummies, and I went out in public, and I felt like more relaxed in public than I have in a long time. So that was pretty awesome, man. Like that really helps. Like, it really does. So if you're wondering where I got these, they're called Jolly Green Hemp Gummies. They're off of Amazon. They're $20. $20 for a thing this fucking big. Like, they're really good. So
Randy, Micah, and Towley Hatman. Micah and the Hatman, now sponsored by Integrity Farms.
Oh, Jesus Christ. But yes. So, if I ever go on Joe Rogan, that's going to be an interesting conversation. Because he's going to bang on constantly, even though I say, I agree with you. I actually take hemp. Like, for my anxiety, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah.
Holy fuck. I'm sorry, I can't stop fucking laughing.
Oh man. So we need to
More like the green gorilla, am I right?
I know, right? But
Oh fuck. Okay, I
yeah,
need to
I'm
fucking
clipping
cut it
this for
out.
the channel. But anyway, we need to get to this. Like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys could help me with the financial recovery, it would be very much appreciated. I'll try to do something special for you guys if we hit goal.
None of that money is going to weed. I swear to God.
Cross my heart, hope to die. You know. But
have to make it all gorilla. Okay, let's talk about guns.
Yes, let's get to that. I'll tell you what, if we hit $200 on donations today, I will buy a Rasta cap with a dreadlock wig. If we hit 200.
God.
So.
Oh my fucking God.
So anyway, let's get into this. So, a very bad precedent has been set.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Has been set. Well, not just with this podcast, but with.
We have fun here.
Yes, we do.
We're a professional operation. Oh God. Snoop, my God.
Oh God.
Okay. Guns.
Yeah,
guns.
Done. Guns. Okay. So, the Supreme Court is allowing a lawsuit to go forward that is allowing the Sandy Hook families to sue Remington for the use of their firearms during that massacre.
Yep. Specifically, it's because they're arguing that they were advertised as killing machines.
Yeah.
Like, trusted by the military. Professional. That sort of fucking thing. Which is ridiculous because if you know anything about firearms, mil-spec speaks to the quality of the parts.
Right.
Not to the killing power of it. I mean, this isn't far from video games or murder simulators. Advertising Grand Theft Auto in the ways that they do is convincing kids to become shooters. That Jack Thompson bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, same logic. So, obviously, this sets a terrible precedent going forward.
Yep,
because
it does.
This is like suing Burger King for being a fat ass.
It's like that one woman who tried to sue Ozzy Osbourne because her son killed himself while listening to Suicide Solution.
Yeah, the same thing with Judas Priest. They were in a similar situation. You know, there is the look, I obviously sympathize with the families in Sandy Hook for what they underwent. I still remember exactly where I was when the news broke. I was working at a contracted call center. We were contracted to Verizon at the time, and I remember putting myself into a call state saying I'm away from my desk and watching, because we had CNN on in the break room, which was depressing, and watching it unfold. Like, I still remember what happened, in the same way I still remember, like, Benghazi and stuff like that, The thing about the situation is that even if we sympathize with these folks, this can't stand. It can't. No. And this is a really, really stupid decision by the Supreme Court to allow this to go through. Because imagine if they win. How bad of a precedent that sets.
Yeah, that's gonna. That's gonna be grounds to sue just about fucking everybody.
Yeah, and we cannot have that. There has to be some sort of tie to actual damage here, and there isn't.
Yeah.
What? Because here's the thing: the person who used the gun isn't even the person who bought it.
Yeah. I mean, all this blustering is just more ways to not hold the criminal accountable for their crime.
Mm-hmm.
It's more finger pointing. It's more blame gaming, and it's honestly just fucking ridiculous at this point. Like, blame the person who pulled the trigger. Period. That's it. You don't have to go into everything else. It's they did it. Why they chose to do it. Operative word being choice.
Mm-hmm.
They chose to do it, and that's it. Nobody else gets to blame beyond that. When you choose to pull the trigger and take another life, you are the only one who gets blamed for it.
That be how it be. So, yeah, needless to say, the Supreme Court fucked up. And this is one of the things where I just say to myself, we are not in a good place as a country right now. We really aren't. And I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't understand it.
Yeah. Tom the Fish says, I'm not even sure how you could sue since a gun is by definition a killing machine. If it didn't kill, it'd be false advertising. True. Specifically what they're going after is Remington used certain words and certain iconography to basically make the gun look like a super killing machine. Like it would kill people at the rate that a military firearm would. That's why I say like the whole trusted by the U.S. military and shit like that. And again, the mil spec speaks to the quality of the parts used, not of the killing power of it. There was nothing in the advertising material that said it can kill this many people in a second. It is great for mass murders. Kill those fucking kids.
Yeah.
Nothing in there about that. So the lawsuit is just frivolous at best.
And just allowing for this sort of thing is really the problem, because it's like there is no grounds here at all, but they're pretending that there are, basically.
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. I think we've said everything we need to say. Got people trolling in the chat. We know the screen's not black. Stop it. All right. So, Roger Stone. This has been an interesting one to discuss because we were talking about it before the podcast started, and this is more complicated than it seems. So Roger Stone was convicted on all counts of the witness tampering, lying to Congress, and what was the other one?
Obstruction of justice.
Obstruction of justice. So we've been looking at a couple different things in regards to this. So the witness tampering charge admittedly kind of seems a little overblown. Apparently some hyperbolic things were sent from Roger Stone to said witness in regards to the Mueller case.
Randy Critico is
and the lying to Congress and obstruction of justice come from him admittedly lying about being in contact with WikiLeaks. He did do that.
Mm-hmm.
And he did lie about it. So that part is true. How that factors into obstruction, I think they're just adding a charge there to add a charge. Because if you got him on one, you don't need to get him on
obstruction.
both.
Obstruction relates more to his non-cooperation during the Mueller case,
Yeah.
the Mueller investigation. Yeah.
Which there was some, but the idea that it impeded it that much obviously is not true because Mueller didn't find anything. So the charge kind of feels a bit irrelevant in hindsight.
Yeah.
But he faces 50 years. And
yeah.
basically meaning he would die in prison.
Yeah, that'd be life in fucking prison.
So, Hatman, what do you think about all this?
Honestly, it seems, to use a word that's going to become popular over this podcast, I suppose, it seems frivolous. Um, a lot of the reason why I think that the jury went against him as far as witness tampering was because Stone's own lawyer and the tampered witness, quote unquote, went at it for like 90 minutes in court. So they could easily see that as, oh well, this guy's definitely guilty because his lawyer is even a scumbag, that sort of thing. I mean, clearly, he did try to back channel with WikiLeaks, although how far that went into obtaining DNC emails or uh, getting them to publish DNC emails is totally unknown, unclear, and frankly, it seems like they were going to do it regardless of Stone's involvement. So it just seems like they're trying to make an example out of somebody because they need somebody to string up for it, and he's the most convenient one. The witness tampering one, of course, being the most serious charge, it seems really, really frivolous to me, especially since tampered witness also said, I understood a lot of what he said was hyperbole. It was just gummed up, over dramatic because that's how he was. I mean, there was one point where he said, I'm gonna take your dog, or I'm gonna make sure you never see your dog again. And the dude was asked about it straight up, and he said, "Yeah, I knew he wasn't gonna take my dog. He wasn't gonna touch my dog."
Yeah. So the perspective that I honestly have on this is that I don't think that I think that yeah, you're probably right in the sense that they want a win. And by they I do mean the Democrats because the judge is an Obama appointee in this case.
Yeah.
They want a win. They
Yep.
want somebody to
DC
suffer.
judge.
Yeah.
DC
judge. So they want somebody to suffer for them not finding anything. Because they're not happy that Donald Trump is the president. And Stone is convenient. And not to mention, it also puts Trump in a bad place.
Especially ahead of impeachment.
Yeah, if he pardons Stone, then it's not a good look. I know that Jack Posobiec and Paul Joseph Watson and that crew is trying to say, oh, pardon. No, you fucking idiots, don't. The reason you shouldn't is because he is clearly guilty of some of this. If you pardon him on all counts, that makes it look like you're letting a guilty man go free. It'd be political suicide. I get that some people, it's like, yeah, he's an old man. He did fuck up a little bit here. And if you were to pardon him on all counts, like, it's just, wouldn't make sense. I think that there's enough evidence for lying to Congress. I think there's enough evidence for obstruction. And there's enough evidence for, what was the other charge? My brain just went completely blank on me. I blame the hemp. Um, the one that wasn't witness tampering, Hatman.
Um, lying to Congress.
Well, I mentioned lying to Congress.
No, I thought you said obstruction.
Lying, obstruction, and then there was one other.
Uh, witness tampering.
No, there was another one that he was charged with several. Right? Several.
It was multiple counts of.
Okay, then never mind. So when it comes right down to it, that there is some guilt there. Not to the level that he deserves 50 years in prison, but yeah, if you pardon him on all counts, you're letting a man who went out of his way to lie to Congress about something that was completely irrelevant to a case right out of the gate. There was no reason to lie about contacting WikiLeaks. Because the fact of the matter was that there's nothing that tied Trump to it anyway. It was a dumb move. So, I don't know. It would be an idiot move, but then again, the people who are suggesting it in the press are idiots. So what do I expect? All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Fuckface.
Fuckface.
We do not mention the name of the shooter. If you do put the name of the shooter in the chat, we are going to have to delete your comment, so I apologize in advance. But want to let you guys know that if you are new to the show.
Well, let's say this too. His name has not been released yet.
Yes. So
we don't even know his name, but that's a good thing because we don't want to know his name. Yeah, his name is Fuckface.
His name is completely irrelevant. He is part of this amorphous blob of killers called Fuckface.
The conglomeration of Fuckface.
Yes. So so basically what happened in this particular case is a young Asian man went into Santa Clarita high school, one of the Santa Clarita high schools in California, with a .45 caliber pistol and killed 2 of his classmates. And then with the final bullet in the round, he killed himself.
Or he shot himself in the head and died yesterday.
Yeah, died yesterday. So, obviously horrifying. And I went in on Jenk on Twitter for this. And I don't remember what my exact statement was, but it was fairly harsh. Because I accused him of something that I don't normally accuse people of in these scenarios. I accused him of not caring. Like that's not something I say. I said none, because he says there's a shooting in Santa Clarita High School with at least 5 injured, 2 critically. You know why? Guns, NRA, Mitch McConnell. That son of a bitch has taken $1.2 million in bribes from the NRA. Prove it. And to make sure that we have no gun control at all, and it's our kids who get shot. I said, none of these things caused that shooter to pull the trigger. You don't give a shit about victims. Just clout chasing. And I'm going to be honest. I believe what I said. I don't think that Jink actually gives a shit about these people. I don't.
No.
And I will say this right now. I would gladly stand this close to Jink and say it straight to his face. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Because
I would too. I'll go one step further. I'll say anyone who implicates the NRA on this does not give a single fuck.
Yeah. Now here's the question: who wins in a fight, gorilla or buffalo? Food for thought. Anyway, but that's the thing. Is there is a problem when it comes to this sort of thing. Let's look at the facts of this particular case. It's a 16-year-old boy on his birthday decides to come in and start shooting people with a handgun. This is going to get dropped by the media because it doesn't fit the profile. He's not already been true. Yeah, he's not a white supremacist. It wasn't with an assault weapon, at the quote unquote. so on and so forth.
Yeah. The only thing I got, I guess, is toxic masculinity or whatever the fuck, because everyone's going to conveniently ignore the fact that, this was not only California, but Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
So, super, super restrict. Like, I think the only ones that would be worse than this would be Chicago, but we already know how that goes.
Yeah.
And San Francisco.
Yep. Here's the thing and this is the one thing that really bothers me the most. Chad Gorilla versus Soy Buffalo. Somebody needs to make that. The fact of the matter is that these sorts of things are not. They don't spring up randomly, especially in teenagers. There are usually warning signs. The fuck face in Florida. There were warning signs there that were ignored over and over and over again. That was something that came up in the days afterwards. And by the way, thank God Scott Israel is no longer in power in that area. But, the fact of the matter is, and I say this over and over, is that we create our own monsters. Being somebody who got bullied in high school and lashed out violently, thankfully just with my fists, it's not something that oftentimes you see that is that just happens randomly. Sometimes there's abuse at home, sometimes there's abuse in the classroom or at the school, things along those lines. And nothing or not enough is done to get people back on the right track. I'm lucky that I have good parents. I'm lucky that my parents gave me a lot of love. Maybe this kid didn't. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that we're not having those conversations about what creates killers. We're not having them. We are afraid to have them, culturally speaking. Despite the fact that outside of the political element, we are ridiculously curious about it. Notice how many films have been made about the mind of killers, documentaries about the mind of killers. Yet, whenever it comes to this sort of a situation, we ignore it all of a sudden. That's fishy. Absolutely fishy. If the last person you're talking about is the person who pulled the trigger, you have an agenda. Period, point blank. That is something that needs to be discussed. Because if we don't start talking about it, if we don't start looking into what exactly it is that creates these killers, this will never stop. This will never end. You cannot just blame it on the gun. Servant of God donates $1. And he says, guns are not the problem. Bad parenting, bad gun education, and the fact that public schools don't seem to care about the kids despite the pandering, also ignoring it so they can take the guns. Basically, that's a good way to sum it up. And that's politics today. Is they use it as an excuse to remove the rights of the citizen who has done nothing wrong. And I have a problem with that. No one should have their rights taken away without a proper court case. And obviously this is not that,
Naturally.
All right. This is the sort of shit that I parodied with the whole Dragon Maids are corrupting our children video. Like, when I finally do these Micah Michelson videos, like, that's the sort of shit that I parody. It's like, between this and the puritanism of the internet. Like, Gab is going Puritan now.
Oh God.
Yeah. Well, they're going Groyper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
We
like,
talked about that on Overflow, I think.
yeah, we did. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
both sides, you're both censorious assholes.
Yeah.
You know.
That was a parody.
Well, anyway, let's move on. Final topic of the day, and I'm going to let Hatman take the lead on this one. Impeachment blustering. What's going on with the impeachment hearing so far, Hatman?
So a whole lot of bullshit, basically, and stuff that we already know. Since leaked or not leaked, but released closed door testimonies, like most of what we're hearing is just the same old stuff. Trump made people feel uncomfortable, made them feel pressured to do something, and meanwhile we have the Ukrainian president and foreign minister both saying we did not feel pressured to do anything at all. We were not asked to comply, or else. This is nonsense. So you have the people who are at the center of this probe saying that no, it's nothing. Stop going so far into it. And yet they're still going to go for it because quid pro quo, which again, as Nikki Haley so succinctly summarized, you've got the alleged victims saying that there was nothing there. The aid went to them anyway, and the investigation didn't even happen. So what is there to impeach for? But it's just a show. It's a media fucking circus. The only thing that I think is really making it worse is Trump tweeting about it. Marie Yovanovitch, who I believe was the ambassador to Ukraine, was testifying, saying that she felt intimidated when she got ousted. And Trump is tweeting about it, saying, oh, well, she's an asshole, shit like that. And they're reading his tweets like live on the floor, saying, is this not trying to intimidate witnesses and stuff? Like he's not making this any easier for himself.
Yeah. And that oftentimes is one of Trump's big faults, is he cannot stop. It's like, just stop.
Mm-hmm.
But,
and the whistleblower is a communist retard. Yeah, that's true too.
Well, and that's one thing that I don't get. It's like, why is the whistleblower not testifying?
Because he needs protection, apparently, even though the information was third hand?
Yes.
It was like second hand or third hand.
Yeah. And I think honestly though, that is the key going forward in this, is the simple fact that the whistleblower himself is not testifying. He's not getting in front of the House and saying what he saw and where he got it from.
Yeah,
that's by design, because Schiff knows that if the whistleblower testifies, they're fucked.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, even fucking Christine Blasey Ford went in front of Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and that didn't end up helping.
You dragged her out of wherever. No, she was dragged out of where the fuck ever, and still did it. Like, come the hell on.
Yeah. Well, and Democrats still get mocked because of Kavanaugh, so they learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether people realize it or not, they learn from that. So, obviously there's bias here. Obviously there's issues here. I think that the simple fact that the Democrats continue to stonewall and try to interrupt Republicans as they can try to grill these witnesses and things like that shows how bad of a desperation move. Like this does not feel that well planned, does it?
No, it's almost literally pull out of their ass. I mean, this is as soon as the news broke, they jumped on it and they were like, this is our opportunity. And then, of course, more of the story came out, and now they're scrambling to get something.
And of course, that is generally the biggest problem that I have with it. Is there is, well, how do I put it? I cannot even think of words this week. Fucking hemp. Anyway, but no, in all seriousness, like it comes across as just way too desperate. Like they literally have nothing. I think that in the image I put up there, the sign that's in the back, it says he will get reelected. If we don't impeach this president, he will get reelected. Is true. This is a last grasp at anything. Servant of God donates another $1, says Adam and the rest of them are acting younger than their shoe size. Yes, and Adam's Schiff is probably like a 7. So, as it stands, I look at this and I go, I can't imagine how this is going to look in the elections in 2020 on the when it comes to the House. Because it's looking like the House wasted their time. And if they impeach Trump, I don't think that actually goes in their favor. I think that people see it as a witch hunt. They see it as something that is frivolous and stupid and a waste of taxpayer money. There's a lot of other bills and laws that could be getting attention right now that are much more worth our time, and they are wasting our time on this. This is what they're doing with their majority. And I think that between this and then the squad and all that other stuff, like there's a lot of, people looking at these goofs and going like, what was the point of all this? So, yeah. So, if you were to put money on it, Hatman, at this point, would you put money that the House flips back to the Republicans?
I would not bet on the Republicans taking back the House.
Okay.
I would not.
Why is that?
I think there's just a lot of resentment towards Trump right now, and I think in those districts where it matters, I think the anti-Trump voters outnumber the pro-Trump voters. It's basically a 50-50 split at this point. I mean, most polls say the disapproval outweighs the approval by just like a little bit, basically by the margin of error.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even with the impeachment nonsense, like people aren't paying attention, and I think the Democrats are counting on people not paying attention. They see, oh, he's being impeached, and they're okay with it, or they just say that's bullshit, that shouldn't happen. They're not going into the specifics of it because it's all just it's theater. It's pretty much entertainment at this point.
Yeah,
it's a sports team to root for or to root against. And I think right now, of the people who are more angry and fired up and going to vote, that's the anti-Trump people. And
yeah,
I think I think they have just enough of an edge to where I would not feel comfortable placing a bet in favor of the Republicans, at least for the House.
Yeah. I am of the opposite belief. I see your point. I just think that given if this impeachment goes through, conservatives will show up again and in bigger numbers than they even did before. And I don't expect them to because the Democratic field is so weak. I don't expect the Democrats to show up at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let's go ahead and hit the Q&A. So, from the patrons Discord, Holy Ingito asks, "How do you like your steak, and what's your sides of choice with steak?" Okay, I don't know how this determines anything political, but I'll answer it. I like steak medium. And well seasoned. No, garlic and thyme being my favorite seasonings for it.
Good. Butter too.
Of course, that's obvious. And this is the one thing, I actually prefer to pan fry my steaks over grilling them.
Same.
Because they can saute a lot better. Sides of choice, steak fries, definitely. And green beans with bacon.
Speaking as someone who just had steak for lunch today, I like mine mid-rare to rare, not blue rare, but I will definitely eat a rare steak. Butter, thyme, garlic, of course. Never steak sauce. A good steak does not need sauce. It'll be juicy and delicious without the fucking sauce. If you need sauce for a steak, it's a shit steak. You shouldn't be eating it.
Agreed.
Sides, baked potato, mashed potato, green beans, not canned green beans. I swear to fucking God. They gotta be fresh. Asparagus is great with steak.
Oh, grilled asparagus is awesome with steak, yeah.
Oh, yes. Even roasted asparagus is really good with it, too. There's some just salt and butter on those things.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking excellent. There's one more that was really good. I don't fucking remember it now. Fuck. I fucking forget what the last one is. Red wine also.
Yeah, good palate cleanser. All right.
Yep.
Talon Silverine says, "I was wondering your thoughts on creators who start dragging politics into their work, like say YouTubers and comic book writers. And where would you say is the best place for a creator to talk about politics, like Twitter and Facebook, or should it just be avoided altogether?" I think that if you're going to do it, separate it from everything else you're doing. Like, that's part of the reason why we separate the podcasts. Is because, we obviously talk politics weekly, but that's obviously not what I'm all about. I like talking about other stuff a lot more than this. This is just something that, the crowd wanted, so I'm more than happy to provide. The fact of the matter is that there is there's a point where it turns people off, and that's people who could be buying a product or watching your videos or things like that. Like, it's better to, I think, avoid them altogether if you're not committed to them, if that makes any sense. If you don't have more of an investment in them, Mm-hmm. So, but I would say it's like, if your constant politicking is hurting your brand, just find somebody who you can vent to as a creator. Just find somebody who you can vent to them. Because it will stop you from saying the stupidest shit in the world. Trust me.
Yeah. Don't go overboard with it, and don't preach.
Yep.
Don't preach.
I would just say have a friend to vent to in the first place. Like, I vent to Hatman whenever we do, like, before Overflow about shit that's on my mind. And it keeps me from saying stuff publicly that I shouldn't. So. Alright. Again, well, now we'll move on to the chat. And, again, if you donate, of course, you're going to get priority because you're paying us. We're $2 into the donation ticker, so 98 to go. If you guys would be willing to do so, that would be of great help to me, so I don't, I don't have an overdrawn checking account at the end of next week. So, because I'm admittedly kind of fucked whenever it comes to my finances because of how sick I was. How to
Donation
donate?
link is in the description.
Yes, if the mods would please, if one of the mods would please put that in there.
Yeah.
So,
do we owe Koopa's Revenge home his
we
answer
owe
since
him
we talked about
that.
steak?
Honestly, we do. Not to mention, I don't think we ever got to it in the overflow. I think we missed a couple.
No,
of questions.
it was not in our overflow queue.
Yeah, we missed a couple. So yeah, we owe you that one. So debate between Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark go on the Second Amendment. That's the thing. I don't know if Bruce would really be interested in that debate because he's very anti-gun. And so is Tony. I think Steve, Captain America, would be a better choice to have that debate than it would be. And honestly, the debate plays out in Civil War better in the movie than the comic, admittedly.
Well, let me throw you for a loop here. It's not so much a gun debate as it is a debate over the right to bear arms.
Yes, that's a better way to put it.
So it'd be more about that. I think honestly they would both be in favor of it because everybody.
Hardboiled put a good one in here. What about Superman?
Ooh,
Superman would be a very good choice because he is not anti-gun.
Ooh.
He's a and this is something that people don't understand. This is part of the reason as to why I think that, if you're going to mention quintessential American heroes, you have, obviously Captain America's number one, but Superman's number two. And here's the reason why. Everybody likes to focus on the fact he's an alien. No. He's an adopted alien. He's a Midwestern boy. He grew up with guns and shooting and hunting and all this other stuff. He represents the heart of the country in his values. Yeah, hard-boiled, that's excellent. And yeah, I think that would be a great debate, honestly, because obviously Clark is an incredibly, he's not a genius, but he's a sharp guy, and he understands. And this is one thing I actually loved about Man of Steel. Clark is a conservative Christian, and they didn't shy away from that. I thought that was really cool. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the only thing I really dislike about Man of Steel is him killing Zod. Everything else is great. That would be the one thing I would change about that film. Would just be I would have him just choke Zod out and knock him unconscious or something like that. Because I think bringing Zod back as and transforming him into the Eradicator would have been a little bit better than Doomsday and BVS. But anyway, but no, that's a really good. That's a really point. And I think that, honestly, Clark would have a better argument in regards to it. I think that Clark's argument would come more from a constitutional perspective, whereas Tony would definitely make the emotional appeal, but he would also have statistics to back it up. It would be close, but I think that Clark would probably edge him out simply based on his knowledge of the Constitution, his knowledge of the country. Which, by the way, Dan Jurgens actually wrote. He is incredibly knowledgeable about such things. And this is something that pisses me off, is that Jurgens also wrote Lois as being like that too, and then whoever's writing her now turned her into a leftist, which she never has been. And that's something also to consider. Lois has never been a leftist, ever. So that pissed me off. That's a mischaracterization of that character. So... All right. Truth, justice, and the American way. Demo Z says, with the rising anti-Iran sentiment in the Arab world and anti-Muslim sentiment in Iran and in parts of the Middle East, do you think a successful Arab Spring will happen? Oh, we've been betting on it. I would say we're waiting for it at this point. Like, Hatman and I are just waiting with bated breath. We're like, fuck the mullahs.
What was the question?
Do we expect the Iranian citizens to rise up, basically? Another Arab Spring.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they fucking burned down the National Bank.
Yeah. Like, fuck the mullahs. Like, seriously, fuck them.
Fuck them.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah. That's a, that is something I definitely want for Iran.
Make Iran Persia again.
Tom the Fish asks, wasn't Superman made by two Jewish guys? So I don't know if it was supposed to be Christian conservative. Well, that's how he became as time went on. It's a logical progression. He's from Kansas. Let's see here. Leonardo Wan says, when will Greta Thunberg be another irrelevant twerp like the Florida Parkland kids? Give it a couple of years.
I'll say give it less than a year. Because how often do you hear about what's his face, the smug looking motherfucker?
Hog.
Yeah. See, I forgot his fucking name. I forgot his fucking name.
You rarely hear about him at this point until he says something stupid on Twitter. Cameron Kasky has completely flipped his perspective, it seems, in regards to things, and is like hosting a podcast now, like where he actually listens to other people's arguments. So, like, yeah. Let's see here. Crystal Hydra says, when Trump gets reelected, what do you think will be the response from the left? Lots of screaming.
Chaos. Abject chaos.
Yeah, I would say that Antifa will get more violent. That's going to be one thing that will happen.
That would probably be what sparks a second civil war, I think. If any civil war were to come, that would be the inciting incident.
Yeah. Let's see here. How about Peter Parker in a gun debate? I don't see Peter doing that. Not really. He doesn't strike me as the type. Foxhelm donated $1 and says, Davis Volt, when will the MLP 2017 movie review be posted if it hasn't already? I forgot about that one. Shit.
2017 movie?
I don't even remember doing that. Like, because
we did
a bunch of like Netflix specials.
It wasn't Netflix specials. That was the Equestria Girls movies.
Yeah. Did we miss it?
I don't know.
I could have... Yeah, we didn't watch it. That's right. So, I guess we have to. Shit. Because I thought that the...
Put it on the fucking list.
The video about My Little Pony is for communists. That was hilarious. People get so pissed for an obvious joke. I'm like, come on! Stop it! Oh, alright. I'll have to put that on there. It's been a year? Yeah, well, we clearly forgot. I'm sorry about that. Like,
Yeah,
I thought we had done it. Or I thought we had done everything pony-oriented. That's my bad. So, yeah, we'll get to it. It was socialist, but it was a good joke. Well, thank you. So, yeah, we'll get back to it. I'm sorry about that. I could probably make time for it sometime this week, if not the next. Depends on how many bribes come in this week, which, again, donation ticker, because my health sucked. A segment from Micah Michelson. I might have to do that. Okay, because I actually thought about calling those videos fake news with Micah Michelson. Shouldn't you have a list to write this kind of stuff down? I do, actually. But I checked it off the list, and I obviously should not have. So... there we go. It's back on the list. So...
yeah, we don't... we're a professional operation here, but that doesn't mean that we're professionals.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it. So... alright, what else we got?
Hardworld asks, would we say this impeachment stuff helps ensure Trump's reelection, hurts him, or has no effect?
I think it depends on how it goes. I think if Trump finally shuts up, it won't hurt him at all. So, but yeah, I don't see it doing that much damage because I don't see that there's anything really there that's going to damage him.
No, again, it's basically the people who were already on the Trump train are not going to be swayed by it, and the people who were already against him are just going to see it as more evidence of guilt. It's not going to sway anybody. It's not going to have any effect.
All right, what else we got?
Everybody wants to know all the comics characters' opinions on guns. Good God.
Well, it'd be interesting.
JJ would be pro-gun, I think. Daredevil, I have no fucking idea.
He'd make the constitutional argument for, I would think.
Probably so, yeah. Legal background. Thoughts on occasional Cortex going after Dave Rubin? I didn't see any of that.
She's such a crackhead. I don't know. I think that's a bad move on her part. Like, Rubin is one of the more sensible human beings that I've ever seen. So I don't know why she would make that mistake, aside from the fact that she's an idiot.
Yeah. Thoughts on Don Cherry being fired? I know nothing about the Don Cherry situation.
I think it was bullshit. I do know about that. I think that what he said obviously was not racist at all. He just basically said that you should have appreciation for the people who sacrificed so that you could immigrate to a nation like Canada. And it annoyed him that people did not do so. And I agree with him. If people stopped, treating D-Day with reverence, or Veterans Day, or anything along those lines, if they stopped treating that with reverence, I'd be pretty pissed off too. My dad served, it's obviously something that ties into my family, and I've had many friends who served too. Like that would really piss me off. So no, I thought that calling him a racist for what he said was bullshit. There was zero malice towards people of a different skin color than him in that statement whatsoever. You said you'd make a video on how sinless sacrifice handled mental illness. Here's a commission for it. You got it. I do need to talk about that one. That would be another really good narrative analysis video. Because the one I did on Death Stranding was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun just sitting down and talking about that subject. And I think it came out really well. I think one thing I will say about that before we close out the Q&A, so go ahead and start putting in your questions for the Overflow guys. Hardboiled's here. He'll go ahead and get them. Who does M. Micah Michelson want pictures of? We'll figure that out. That'll have to come with time. But because I don't know who my nemesis would be in fiction. But, maybe Terry Bogard? I don't know. But anyway, the thing about it is that, and part of the reason that I think that Death Stranding vibes with me so much in the message is I've been saying the exact same thing for the last 2 years on this podcast about where the culture's headed. I agree with Kojima completely. I don't think that's a bad statement to make. What he's saying is we need to start building connections with one another again. It's very true. And we live in a day and age where people want to see people get destroyed instead of seeing people get built up. And that's not a good place to be as a culture. It really isn't. So, all right, guys. So if you did not get your question answered during the course of the podcast, please go ahead and put that in for the Overflow. I had somebody email me this last week. Do not email me if you have Overflow questions. Email Hatman.
Yep.
He's the one who
Alex at hatman.net if you don't know it.
Yes. I will miss them. I will probably skip over them, because that's what Hatman handles. So, yeah. Other than that, any final words, Hatman?
don't drive fast on the wrong side of the road.
Good advice. And remember, folks, buy more hemp. My name is Micah Curtis, the apparently dank gorilla.
I have no idea what's going on.
We'll see you guys soon. Stick around for the Entertainment Podcast. Dave's Vault.